The year is 1943. Europe is burning. The skies have become a battleground of steel and fire, and every day American bombers push deeper into German airspace. They move with confidence, with the belief that their tight formations and dozens of defensive guns are enough to carry them home. But it's a belief that's quickly falling apart. German fighters wait like wolves on the edges of their territory, ready to tear those bomber formations apart the moment they get close. And for a long time, nothing seems to stop them. Bombers keep going out, and they keep disappearing. Entire crews vanish without a trace, leaving behind empty chairs and unanswered letters. Every mission feels like a gamble against impossible odds, and with the Allies preparing for the eventual invasion of Europe, the stakes have never been higher. Without control of the skies, D-Day itself might never happen. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, something changes. A new aircraft appears. Sleek, long-range, fast. Something so advanced the German pilots describe it as nearly futuristic. And this fighter, the P-51 Mustang, doesn't just escort bombers, it hunts the hunters. It flips the balance of power in the sky and becomes a symbol of hope, survival, and victory. But how did a fighter that wasn't even designed for this role end up becoming one of the most important aircraft in history? How did the P-51 evolve so dramatically that it changed the outcome of the war? And what would have happened if this aircraft never existed? As we uncover the real story behind the Mustang, you may find the truth even more surprising than the legend. And before we dive deeper, if you enjoy aviation stories told the way they actually happened, without myths, without exaggeration, feel free to like the video so more people can discover it. Now let's go back to the beginning of this unbelievable story. Before the Mustang arrived, the war in the air wasn't going well for the Allies. The idea was simple: send massive bomber formations deep into German territory and destroy the industrial machine that fueled the Nazi war effort. Oil factories, ball bearing plants, transportation hubs, all of them were targets. The problem was that American fighters couldn't escort bombers far enough. The P-47 Thunderbolt was powerful but didn't have the range. The P-38 Lightning was versatile but still couldn't stay with bombers all the way to Berlin. So every time fighters turned back, German interceptors rushed in. They attacked relentlessly, wave after wave, tearing through bomber groups with brutal efficiency. Missions like Schweinfurt-Regensburg in 1943 nearly broke the morale of the U.S. Army Air Forces. Hundreds of airmen were lost in a single day, and the Allies realized something terrifying. Without long-range escorts, the daylight bombing campaign might collapse entirely. So the question became, how do you build a fighter that can fly from England to Berlin, battle the Luftwaffe, protect the bombers, and still make it home? No Allied fighter had ever done this before, and yet the solution was already being built, almost by accident. The origin of the P-51 Mustang is one of the most surprising stories of the war. It didn't begin in an American military meeting. It didn't begin with a grand design competition. It began with desperation. In 1940, Britain urgently needed more fighters. They approached North American Aviation and asked them to license build the P-40 Warhawk. But North American made a bold proposal: give us the chance and we'll design something better. What happened next borders on unbelievable. In just 117 days, less than 4 months, engineers designed and built the prototype Mustang. This kind of speed is unheard of today. And even more surprising, the early Mustang wasn't special at high altitude. Its Allison engine performed well at low levels, but above 15,000 feet it struggled. So at first, no one saw it as a war-changing aircraft. But then comes the moment that changes everything. The moment historians still talk about today. The British decide to try something experimental, combining the Mustang airframe with the legendary Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, the same engine that powered the Spitfire. When the two were combined, the Mustang transformed. It suddenly gained incredible high-altitude performance, greater speed, and unmatched range. It became a completely different aircraft, the fighter the Allies desperately needed. The American-built version of this engine, the Packard-produced Merlin, turned the P-51B and later the P-51D into long-range, high-flying, fast-climbing machines. Pilots who tested the new Mustang were shocked. It didn't just perform well, it exceeded their expectations in almost every category. The Mustang had the perfect combination of aerodynamic efficiency, power, firepower, and fuel range. This was the moment the war in the air began to shift. What made the Mustang so successful wasn't just its speed or power, it was its balance, the way every part of its design worked together. Its laminar flow wing reduced drag and made it incredibly efficient. Its bubble canopy provided exceptional visibility. Its 6.5 caliber machine guns gave it lethal firepower. And perhaps most importantly, its range allowed it to escort bombers far deeper than any fighter before it. With drop tanks attached, the Mustang could fly thousands of kilometers, dive into combat, protect bombers, chase the enemy, and still make the long flight home. It was the first fighter of its kind, a long-range escort that didn't just defend, it dominated. When P-51s finally entered European combat in early 1944, the Luftwaffe immediately noticed. Suddenly, the skies were filled with a new threat, one that could meet them at altitude, outclimb them, outrun them, and most importantly, stay with the bombers the entire way. German pilots began reporting a new, frighteningly capable opponent. They said the Mustang was too persistent and too fast to escape. For the first time, German fighters could no longer freely attack bomber formations. But the Mustang didn't just escort, it attacked. Instead of staying close to bombers, Mustang pilots were ordered to aggressively hunt the Luftwaffe. They targeted German fighters before they even reached American aircraft. They strafed airfields, intercepted transports, disrupted training schools, and continuously pressured an already stressed German aviation industry. Mustang pilots cut down experienced German aces and destroyed the newer, poorly trained replacements before they even gained combat experience. This relentless pressure crushed the Luftwaffe from the inside. By mid-1944, the German Air Force was losing aircraft and pilots faster than they could replace them. And this collapse directly shaped what happened on D-Day. When Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, something remarkable happened. Almost no German aircraft appeared over the invasion. Allied forces had almost complete control of the sky, a condition absolutely necessary for a successful landing. And the P-51 Mustang played a major role in making that possible. Now here's a question many historians still debate. Was the Mustang the single biggest factor in achieving air superiority, or did it simply arrive at the perfect moment in the war when Germany was already struggling with fuel shortages, industrial damage, and pilot losses? The truth lies somewhere in the middle. But what can be said with certainty is this: the Mustang accelerated the end of the Luftwaffe's dominance and ensured the Allies had the freedom to operate in the air. What was it like to fly the Mustang? Pilots described it as smooth, responsive, and incredibly predictable. It handled beautifully, even when pushed hard. The cockpit layout was clean and logical, and the aircraft felt stable in maneuvers. At high altitude, the Merlin engine gave the Mustang a sense of power and confidence that pilots trusted with their lives. Many said the Mustang felt like an extension of themselves, not just a machine. But flying the Mustang wasn't easy. Missions were long, sometimes 7 or 8 hours. Pilots endured freezing temperatures, enemy fire, and constant mental strain. They knew that every mission could be their last. Yet the Mustang gave them something precious, the feeling that they had a real chance to survive. And beyond survival, the Mustang gave them the ability to make a difference, to protect bomber crews, to weaken the Luftwaffe, and to help bring the war closer to an end. The impact of the P-51 is undeniable. It drastically reduced bomber losses, crippled German fighter defenses, enabled the success of D-Day, and gave the Allies sustained control of the skies. It didn't win the war alone, no aircraft could, but it was one of the most important tools that made victory possible. Even after World War II, the Mustang continued flying in conflicts like the Korean War and served with air forces around the world. Today, it remains a symbol of engineering excellence, wartime innovation, and the power of determined teamwork between nations. The P-51 Mustang wasn't designed to be a legend. It wasn't built with the intention of changing the war. And yet, it became the aircraft that many believe helped win the war. Maybe that sounds bold, but when you look at the facts, it's hard to argue against it. But here's the part that still creates debate, an open question for you.
If the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine had never been paired with the Mustang, would the Allies have achieved air superiority in time for D-Day? Some say yes, others say absolutely not. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. I read all your comments and would love to hear your perspective. And if you want more deep dive aviation stories told with accuracy and clarity, feel free to like the video so this series can continue. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.